And I know a lot of folks from Cabo, so good to see a lot of you, and some of us go way back, like you and I, Jeff, so great to catch up. We'll start with, how's your 2020 been? Do we even have to ask? I don't know about you, but I went out and I got a new planner at the beginning of the year, and this was a pink trapper keeper looking planner. And I don't even use planners. I write things on scraps of paper, or I text message myself, or I write lipstick on the mirror. So I don't even use a planner, but I was going to have one this year because this year was going to be so amazing and you know, take on the world. We see what happened. And so now this is what 2020 feels like. Feels like we've been treading water. While we've been treading water though, however, we have come to acquire some new skill sets. Like the fact that we're all logged on here today is a big accomplishment. We're Zooming. So just by virtue of us, I don't know about you, but I'm a little technically challenged. So I get excited if I'm even able to connect. So what I'm lacking in being technically challenged, I do know quite a bit about how to present yourself on camera. And I appreciate Sharon giving that introduction because that gives me a little bit of credibility, so you know where I'm coming from as we get through today. Now look at all these Zoom faces. Everybody's so happy. Why are they happy? Are they happy because they don't have shoes on? Because they didn't have to sit in traffic? These are some of the good things about Zoom, right? They didn't take a shower. Okay, well that's nothing to be happy about. Take a shower before your Zoom call. So they are happy. They've learned how to Zoom well. They've made it part of their routine, and Zoom is here to stay. Obviously because of the convenience, because of the instant visual access. You can meet people that are far away. You can do more things in the day if you're doing a lot of Zoom meetings, a lot of virtual meetings. So it's here to stay. I do believe in the future we'll see a hybrid. We'll get back into the office and we'll use the best and the most, we'll use in person in appropriate situations, and we'll use Zoom in appropriate situations. So what do we love? Let's go back to in-person meetings. What do we love about in-person interaction? And I love in-person interaction, and I desperately miss it. A firm handshake. A firm handshake it's so formal and yet warm. It's really a beautiful thing. We haven't been able to do that for a while. We miss service with a smile. I don't know about you, but it's feeling so kind of, you almost feel like a robot looking at someone behind their mask saying, I think they smiled at me because I think I saw their eyes crinkle, but did they? And you think too much about it. A smile is a smile, and a smile is contagious. We miss those. And then you have the experience of feeling someone's energy when you walk into a room, giving your energy when you walk into a room. That's part of, you know, in broadcasting, that's how we get our day started. Mason walks in, we all walk in with, hey, how's everybody doing? Take on the day. That gets us all going. And all of you, whether you're entrepreneurs, you know, whether you're doing sales presentations, meeting clients for the first time, you have charisma, you have that energy, and you are not able to deliver it in the same way when you're doing it through a Zoom conference. We also miss the being able to finish someone's sentences. I can't do that with you right now because we'll just talk over each other. It'll get very confusing, but you can do that in an in-person meeting, and that feels good. That means you're on the same page. Likewise, mirroring behavior. When I say, hey, is this person copying me? No, it's mirroring behavior, and it's actually a signal to someone that you get them, that you understand them, and that is a good thing. And these are little nuances, little communication tics that we don't get a chance to enjoy via Zoom. So what do we have to do? We have to step up our Zoom game to make Zoom as enjoyable and as impactful as those in-person interactions. So let's also talk about what we like about Zoom, love about Zoom. Oh, do we love worrying about how we look? No. Do we love being distracted? No. I mean, I think about these teachers. Have you all heard of the teachers who are back at school who have to not only teach to the class, but also teach to their Zoom class? And I have to say, I firmly believe that is too much to ask of our teachers, because broadcasting is a specific skill set that you develop. Jeff, I know you'll feel me on this because we go way back, but nobody in our business in broadcasting wants to go back and watch that first live shot they did, that first on-air piece. You know why? Because we weren't good. Because this isn't something that comes naturally for anyone. Even if you're the most charismatic, outgoing, not shy, comfortable person, people don't do well broadcasting initially because it is a learned behavior. So as Sharon was so kind to mention, to go through some of those things that have given me some credibility over the years, we're going to get into how I can help you with that knowledge. And all of those things I just described, those are all the things we love about in-person, those are operating at the subconscious level. We have wiped that out, that part of our communication out. Instead, it's been replaced with a lot of confusion, a lot of distraction. I'm looking right now at all these faces. I'm thinking about you guys. I'm thinking about how do I look? I'm not actually, because I'm going to tell you why. We'll get to that. So what is our goal for today? We want to remove obstacles that make Zoom difficult. And not only that, so we want to remove the thoughts in our head of being observed. And we want to also learn to shine in this medium, to be our very best selves, to engage with people, really bring them in and communicate our very best messages. So those are the goals for today. And I think after today, you will at least take one or two things away that will make your next Zoom interaction, your next Zoom presentation, Zoom meeting, whatever it may be, it will make it stronger. That's why I'm here. Okay, let me tell you a little story. One of my first bosses in the television industry told me, I thought it was very cruel. I was concerned that we would do these media coaching, painful media coaching sessions with him. And one of the things he talked to me about, he said, Roxanne, I've covered sports. He said, Roxanne, just so you know, no one's listening to what you're saying. They're looking at you and judging you for how you look. Now that sounds very harsh, but there's some truth to it, because that's what people do in a visual medium. You especially when you're in the passive version of it, where you're just sitting there watching television, you're going to sit there and judge what you see on the screen. That's perfectly natural. It's not quite as bad right now because we're all worried about our own input, so we're not individually going and looking at everybody and thinking about, you might be judging me right now because I'm the one talking. But in any case, it's extra pressure that we don't want to have to think about. That's one of the reasons I particularly love radio, because I can just think about what I'm saying. I don't have to worry about how I look. But we do want to put that out of our mind and make sure, this is why it's important, because I don't want to come across as Roxanne so shallow. I'm trying to help you give your best look, because if you're meeting someone for the first time via Zoom, you want to make an incredible impression. And all they have to judge you on, they don't have that handshake. They don't have that in-person energy. They're judging you on this little box that they see, which is kind of crazy. But here's how we're going to nail that. So I'm going to take a look at some things to show you some things right now that are really going to help. First thing, you have to think about lighting and attire and angles. I should say first thing is lighting. So let's start there. Today, I am Zooming to you. I don't think that's how you say it, but I'm coming to you live from my bathroom. One reason I'm in my bathroom today is because my kids are home and they are at this is the far end from where they are. So I feel like this is the place where you'll be least likely to hear them. But the real reason I'm in here is because my bathroom has amazing lighting. So if you really want to deliver your best presentation and feel like you look your best, just have good lighting. I'll give you a funny story, a funny way to think about it, I should say. Think of lighting as your friend. Do you want your best friend lighting to come at you and hug you? Or do you want your lighting to be like a backstabbing friend and come up behind you? No, 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 no. Never have light behind you. You always want to have the light shining at your face. And another thing, you want to minimize the overhead lighting, because if you know the designer, Tom Ford, one of his quotes is that he believes that nobody over the age of 18 should ever be shot in photographs or on camera in overhead lighting. It's not kind. So you want that lighting coming at your face when you can, and that's going to give you your best Zoom setup with that lighting. Believe me, from television, if you said, Roxanne, do you want to go on TV and wear no makeup whatsoever and be lit poorly, or you want to go on television and wear makeup but have bad lighting? I would choose choice A every time, because lighting makes all the difference. So we'll get a little bit more into the high-tech aspect of what you can get to help with that. Really, all you need to do is sit in front of a window with the light from the window coming at you. Don't sit with the window behind you. That's not going to help. Okay, so let's talk attire. Again, the goal with a Zoom meeting, video conferencing, especially when you've got all these little boxes that everyone's choosing from. Who are they going to look at? Who are they going to? Someone has a question. Okay, how do you get someone's attention? Well, I think the best advice is to be the easiest to look at. And what I mean by easiest to look at is not so busy, not a lot of distraction on your screen, in your background, and also wear a bright, solid color shirt. That is easy to look at. That was a trick we learned in TV. It just makes your face pop, it makes your features look stronger. You want to wear that bright colored shirt. It's not a busy pattern, it's not going to clash or detract. And sometimes when you have the more neutral colors, the lighter colors, those are a little bit, they get a little washed out, or you get washed out. So those are your two very shallow, oh, I got another shallow tip for you. Angles, angles. So funny. I was reading a story about how so many people now, because we're all so vain, we've been used to looking at ourselves in the Instagram photos with all the beautiful filters. Now the reality of 2020 is hit and we're looking at ourselves on these Zoom camera angles and saying, oh no. I think I read plastic surgeons are seeing an uptick in people wanting to get their jaws lifted or facelifts because they're realizing, you know, their face doesn't look how they would like for it to. Okay, save some money. First of all, y'all look great. Everybody looks great, but save some money and just take your camera up a little bit higher. That is a trick of the business. It's you know, when you take a photo or when you're on a Zoom camera, you just want it a little bit higher than eye level, and that's going to give you a nice lift, okay? Also, under the category of angles, and we can get a little bit more into this when I give you some, when we talk branding, but you want to think about, do you want to take up do you want to be to the side? Do you want to be square to the middle and delivering your message? There's some tricks, and I'll tell you where your position, how that might affect the impression you're making. Okay, so what do you need in your little toolbox of things that are going to set up your Zoom conference? And by the way, I've been caught off guard for Zoom before. That's what I'm realizing now is people expect you to get on a Zoom call. So that's why I start with a shoebox. You can have all of your equipment in this little shoebox and you'll be ready to roll. Okay, some things I recommend. A light kit. You can find a good light kit on Amazon for under $50. It could be a small one that you attach to your computer and it gives your face a little bit more brightness. Like I said, the best thing is to sit in front of a nice window, but you can't always rely on the weather. You can't always find your window. So if you have a nice little light kit that plugs in, you can find some on Amazon, and I sent out a list when I've done this presentation before of one that I might recommend. If you'd like that, I'd be happy to give it to you. Also, you need a webcam. The reason I recommend a webcam is because then you can move your computer to where you'd like it to be, and you can have the camera aimed at whatever angle you like. It just gives you more flexibility. Those are very easy to use. Again, I'm using a TED Gem web camera, and it was less than $50 on Amazon. The other thing that you want to have, this sounds silly, but when I do my little setup, I like to have my web camera as close to my computer as possible. Today, for reasons that I'm using this bathroom to do my session with you, I have my camera higher than I normally like it to, because then when I look at my computer, I'm looking down too far, and I like it to be a little closer. That's my preference. So with that in mind, I have an empty coffee cup. I set that empty coffee cup on top of my computer, and then I tape the webcam to it, and then I set the computer on top of my shoebox. I mean, this is a MacGyver setup. You know, you can take it wherever you need to and make yourself look really exactly how you want to feel confident. And so again, the Scotch tape, you know, you tape your webcam, you're good to go. Also, I'm using a microphone today. I hope it's working well, but if I didn't have this microphone on, I'm too scared to try to talk into my computer so you could hear what it sounds like, because I don't want to lose connection. But if I didn't have it on, it would sound even more echoey because I'm in my bathroom. So this microphone is able to at least drown out any outside noise. If you've got a loud air conditioning, if you've got somebody mowing their lawn outside, this is able to help you with that. So this, again, microphone, you can find all these things for around $50, a little less maybe. So that's what's in your toolkit, and that's really going to help you out to get that look so that you don't have to be distracted about what you're doing. So now you've got the perfect setup, you feel comfortable, you know your angle, and you're ready to go. How are you going to get that message across and really be impactful? So these are some things I want to touch on today, and we could go way far deep into each of these topics, but I'll just give you a little highlight to each. First thing, let's talk about Zoom branding. I love to share this story about the person who I think has done such a great job on a Zoom call that I experienced. And this was in March, right when this all began. My baby, my infant, we had a cardiology appointment with our doctor. We had a very difficult time getting on that call. We couldn't get our computers right to work right. We couldn't get synced up. My husband was very irritated. We get on the call with this doctor, and he was amazing. And a lot of what made him so great is the setup that he had. Okay, he's a cardiologist. He's wearing a red shirt. I don't know if that branding was done by design, but it subconsciously put a message in our mind like, okay, heart doctor. So he's sitting at his desk. He's got his diplomas behind him. He was well lit. He was, I also think, today I'm kind of tight on my face because although I know some of you, I don't know all of you, and I want to get to know you a little more. So I brought the shot in a little bit. But if you expand it out, sometimes I think it's a good idea, especially if you're that authority in the meeting, to go ahead and show from the waist up. From the rib cage up, and that's how he was sitting. He was very authoritative. He was able to make us feel so comfortable, and I do believe he was just a great doctor. But it was crazy because his setup for his video conference gave us such a good glimpse into what his bedside manner was like. And you think about how hard that must be to do for doctors, especially in the beginning when they were trying to do all this telemedicine. He did a great job. So branding means something. So for you, your personal branding, it might be a color. It might be your setup at your desk. If you're doing more consulting, offering advice to someone, I again like to be off to the side a little bit more. I'm a little bit center with you guys today, but that's for purposes of the background I have. I don't want to show you that hard angle in my house, so I want to stand in front of it in my bathroom. So, but I do believe an off to the side look can be beneficial if you are doing that. You're acting as an advisor when you want a little bit more affirmative, when you're doing more, maybe, I know we're not looking at job interviews right now, but a presentation where you want to be an authority figure, a center shot is good. So these are things to just think a little bit more deeply about. Know that your background is an extension of your brand. And so you think about that when you do your setup. Also, we want to talk a little bit about leadership shift. I did some of my other research in preparing for my Zoom expertise with you guys. Of course, I've gained some from TV, but also talked to a handful of CEOs and said, what's working, what's not? They gave me some technical answers, like they don't like it when people have their volume on and they're being distracting to the rest of the Zoom participants. Okay, that's ticky-tacky stuff. But one of the things I learned is that in today's day and age, a new leadership quality has evolved from Zoom conferencing and teleconferencing, and that is that leaders must be problem solvers. They must be problem solvers. You're saying, Roxanne, well, leaders always have to be problem solvers, but that has rocketed to the top of the list because that's the business environment we're in. So if you're thinking about a presentation, you're thinking about meeting with people in this sort of medium, think about helping them. Because when you're helping them solve problems, you are gaining that value. You're being seen as a leader in this world, in this medium. Okay, this is a fun little aspect that I want to tell you about, ACE storytelling. And this is something that goes back to some of my media coaching that has nothing to do with Zoom conferencing, but really can be helpful in the Zoom world. ACE stands for action, action, color, and emotion. So this is the way to be a great storyteller. Every entrepreneur has their story to tell about their business, has their stories to tell about themselves, and stories are what make people engaged, interested in your content, interested in what you have to say. So within these stories, you want to remember to do three things. You want to provide action. You don't want to meander. That's kind of self-explanatory. When you're telling a story, go from point A to point B. Don't go off in tendrils too much. I do that though. And you also want to have color. Color is the five senses. So when you're telling a story, you're talking about, oh, I heard this. We do a lot of this in radio because it's theater of the mind. I heard this, I saw this. Describe your story using the five senses. And that adds to it, that adds a layer of interest. And finally, emotion. And I feel like with Zoom, and I feel like the world we're living in right now in general, all of our interactions are muted. We're not seeing people's faces because they have masks on. We're not able to feel one another in the in-person interaction. So we've got to enliven our emotion even further when we're doing these kinds of presentations. You want to be the memorable person. You want to be we're trying to get business. We're trying to make connections. I have to tell you, I'm so glad with these, with what you guys do with Kava, because where you are meeting people, networking. I was thinking about it the other day. I met a new person this weekend. It was the first new person I've met and gotten together with for the last 6 months. It has been, maybe it's not that bad in business, but for me personally, I haven't been meeting new people because no one's saying, hey, let's get together, and where are we going to go? How are we going to not have our masks on? So that hasn't happened a lot lately. So now is the time when you're making these new connections, which it seems like it's happening more now. And whether you're doing it on Zoom, stand out, be an individual, use these tactics, put your best self forward, and really just try to connect with people through these crazy times. And know that everybody is kind of feeling the same thing. So that gives us all an advantage of understanding each other, and now you have the advantage of really standing out. Ta-da!
Karen, I think you're on mute.
Wow. Sorry. I usually don't do that. Thank you, Roxanne. That was amazing. That was
incredible. Thank you. I loved it. I loved it.
Yes.
Fun talking to you guys.
No, a lot of great information. And as I said it to everybody, if you can just, if you have questions, just throw them in the chat, and then we're going to do a little Q&A at the end. We're going to move on to our digital products. And just wanted to, of course, you guys are familiar with the radio stations, but our group of stations, WQIK, the Heritage Country Station, WRBQ, Q105, our Heritage Classic Hit Station, Wild 94.1, the Markets Heritage Urban Contemporary Station, 92.5 Maxima, the Powerhouse FM Hispanic Station, 98.7 is Tampa Bay's Classic Rock Station, and we also have 1010 Money Talks, which is Tampa Bay's information and news station. We're very fortunate to also have some incredible digital products, and Ali Ahmed works with all of them. Ali Ahmed is currently the digital sales manager with Beasley Media Group in Tampa, serving as the in-market expert on the state of digital media marketing. Ali has a master's degree from Full Sail University in Orlando and a Bachelor of Science degree from University of South Florida. He is an incredible resource for digital media trends, products, and marketing, and has been working and educated in the digital space for almost a decade. And I do have to say, a lot of my conversations were with Ali are, I hope I don't sound too stupid, but because he knows it all, and we're very happy to have Ali take it away.
Thank you very much. I will say I went to UCF, not USF. I just have to point that out for the sake of our football team doing a lot better this year. So I'm sorry for you USF fans. I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, so before I kind of get into all of the different digital offerings and all the different digital products you can use, two important things before you start even getting into that. So you want to make sure that you have your creative, and you want to make sure you have your analytics. So with creative, you can be reaching the exact person you want to reach. It can be somebody who's very interested in a product or a service, but if you don't have the right creative, you're going to lose that person. So before you start anything, just make sure you have that online. You know what message you want to send. You want to know, what you're trying to get the user to actually do. Right? Analytics is another important thing. So even if you're not running any digital campaigns right now, but you have a website, you should have Google Analytics on your website. It helps you measure what people are doing once they actually get to your site. So are they getting there and then just bouncing right away, just leaving the site without taking any action? Are they making phone calls? Do they have something in their cart and then they decide not to check out? So having all that information helps you optimize your website, helps you know, okay, I might need to change this on my website. I want more phone calls, but people aren't calling me. So you might find, okay, I need to move my phone number up to the top of the page, all of those different things. It also helps you measure all of the different digital campaigns that you're doing. So you want to make sure that everything is always tagged prior to starting a campaign, and you can see the exact actions that people are making from the exact campaigns. You can tag it by creative. So if you're doing any A/B testing, you can say, okay, well, this offer did a lot better than this offer, so I'm going to dial it back down on this one and increase this one. And it just helps seeing overall growth. So measuring it on a year-to-year and a month-to-month basis, it helps you to see different trends. So okay, well, I'm having a down August, but last August was about the same, and I've actually increased over that August. So it helps to see those different seasonal changes. It helps you see what people do once they actually get to your website, and it helps you make informed decisions rather than just guessing on things. All digital campaigns will say, hey, we can give you impressions and clicks and click-through rate, and well, it's great to have that information. It doesn't really give you anything as for what people are doing once they get to your site, and it doesn't help you know that you're reaching the audience that you actually want to reach. So getting into the actual digital products, you guys are probably all pretty familiar with email marketing. Whether you have a list yourself, or you might notice that you're getting a lot of emails in your inbox from different sites that you're subscribed to, whether it's Amazon or anything like that. So you can actually go out and acquire different audiences based on a ton of different things. So you can do it based on their geography, based on their interests, their behavior, their demographics. If you do more B2B, you can actually reach just the decision makers within those companies that you're trying to reach. So there's tons of different ways that you can do email marketing and that you can reach your exact audience that you're trying to reach. So I always recommend pairing email marketing with additional approaches. If you get an email in your inbox from a company that you've never heard of, yeah, you might open it if it has a catchy intro line, or if it seems like something that you're actively looking for. But really, that's the only time you see it, it might not be as impactful as if you're seeing it everywhere else. With radio, with newspaper, with TV, with everything, frequency is very important. So we actually always recommend doing email display retargeting and omni retargeting. So basically what that means is you have the email list of, say, 100,000 different people that you're reaching. So they'll all get the email, and yeah, you'll probably get at least 10% of them that will open it. But what you can do then is you can take those email addresses, and they're associated with their Facebook accounts, their Gmail accounts, all of these different accounts that they're logged into consistently. And now you can serve them throughout everywhere they're going. So they're seeing it on Facebook. They're seeing it when they're looking at their news on CNN or Fox or NBC, when they're looking at their sports update on ESPN. So now they see that everywhere. They see your ad everywhere. They're becoming more and more familiar with your name. Then they see the email in your inbox. They're like, oh, okay, I've heard of that. This is a company that I'm familiar with. It's almost like a confirmation bias type thing. So you're adding that frequency, it becomes more and more familiar, and then you're more likely to open that email, and they work really well together.
Two phone cases are wrong arms.
I'm sorry, what was that? Okay. So then you have your site contextual and keyword search retargeting. So retargeting are kind of like your soccer ads. You might notice it a lot if you're shopping for different things, then you leave and then you see it following you everywhere saying, hey, you forgot to buy me. That's a form of site retargeting. So basically you go to a website, you've taken an action, and then from there, you're going to get those ads constantly reminding you, hey, come back. Hey, you forgot about this. You forgot to take this action. So why it's so important to have site retargeting on your websites is people do a lot of research before they buy anything now. The research is all readily available. It's a pair of different products. There's a lot more competition now. So, take buying a car, for example. People will visit at least 8 different websites before they decide what kind of car they want to buy or which car they want to buy. So by the time say they visit your website first, by the time they get to the 8th website, they might not even remember the first one they visited. So that's why site retargeting is so important, because it's constantly there reminding you about the first website or the 3rd or the 4th or whatever it is, and why that's the best one and why you should go back to that one. Contextual and keyword search retargeting kind of work together with that. So contextual retargeting is if people are doing research on a certain product, we can actually retarget them and show them the ads everywhere they go. So say somebody is trying to figure out if they need a new roof. So they're researching, how long does a roof last? When do I need to know, or how do I know when I need to replace my roof? All of those different things. They're reading those articles, so obviously they're interested and researching what product or who to go to or what to buy. So then you have your ads again following them. You've determined that that user relates to what you're actually offering. Keyword search retargeting is very similar to that. A lot of you, when you go on Google, you probably see the Google ads pop up, and we'll talk about that briefly. But when you leave Google or Bing or wherever you're searching, you can continue to follow those people everywhere, again, with your display ads, your video ads, and then OTT, which we'll talk about too. So it's a really great way to actively target people who are there searching for you. They're bottom of the funnel because you know that they've taken certain actions already. So geofencing is a location-based targeting system. So with geofencing, you can draw a virtual fence around anywhere and then target anybody who enters that virtual fence. So using the example of car dealers once again, say you're a Toyota dealership and you have somebody across the street who you're trying to steal business from. You're trying to steal business from the Honda or Hyundai or whatever. So what you can do is you can actually set a geofence around your competitor's location. And then when they're in that store and when they leave for the following 30 days as they're making the decision, you can start pushing your offers to them saying, hey, this is why it's a better deal than what you're currently being offered. Addressable geofencing is another form of a virtual fence. This one, you have a lot different targeting capabilities with. So a lot of people use addressable geofencing with their direct mail campaigns. We've actually seen a lift of about 28% when paired with direct mail typically. So what that means is basically you send over your address list of what you're doing for direct mail, and now you're blasting all of your virtual ads to the people who've gotten your physical mailers. Again, it's that confirmation bias we talked about a little bit. You're increasing the frequency. They're seeing it, they have the physical mailer, they're seeing it on their TV, they're seeing it on their phones, they're seeing it when they're watching videos. It's everywhere. They can't get away from it. You can also do addressable geofencing to curate different addresses. So if you don't have a list that you're trying to reach, you can target people in their homes based on certain things. So you can do it based on their property value, their household income, their age, how many kids are there, if they're a registered voter or not. One of the most popular ones we've been doing is for home services. If you figure an AC unit runs out, after 10 to 12 years, you're probably up and ready for a new AC unit. What you can actually do is target homes that are 10 to 12 years old and say, hey, are you ready for a new AC unit? Have you gotten maintenance on yours lately? And that's a great way to do it too. A lot of the times, with home services, again, if you're doing a job, you'll have the sign out there. If you're doing a roof, kind of saying, hey, here's who we are, we're doing your neighbor's roof, or you'll see those mailers again when somebody does a job in your neighborhood. So this is a way to do it digitally. Instead of having to go in and put those mailers in each inbox, you can go and just do this and circle that whole neighborhood with a digital fence. Event targeting is not as relevant now, but it's starting to build back up. But this is just targeting a specific event at a specific time. So if you're trying to reach everybody who went to the Bucks game, you just set up a virtual fence around Raymond James Stadium from 1 to 5 or whatever time the game is, and then you capture everybody who's went into the game. And once they leave, you're following them with your ad for 30 days afterwards. So if you sponsor an event or do anything like that, this is a great opportunity because again, they see you at the event, maybe they have your card from the event, and this gives them another reminder, another nudge of why they should work with you. And the great thing about digital is there's so much measurement that you have with it that you didn't before. One of those things is foot traffic attribution. So if you have a retail location or a physical location, you can actually set up another fence around your specific location, and we can track how many people who saw your ad actually decided to come into the store.
Interesting.
So those are a few different ways that you can target people. And there's different ways that people can actually see your ads and see your messaging too, right? So there's the static display ads, which is basically just an image ad. You'll see tons of different sizes. If you open up like your Weather Channel app, you'll see a lot of them. There's a 300 by 250. There's a little 320 by 50 on the bottom of your phone screen. So there's tons of different sizes that way. But you can also do pre-roll video. If any of you guys happen to do like games on your phone, like through the gaming apps, whether it's Candy Crush or Words with Friends or anything like that, you might have noticed a lot of these videos. If you want to gain a new life or anything like that, you can also have those videos if you're watching, again, news or taking in any content of any sort. You usually have to watch a 15 to a 30-second video beforehand. So using all the things we talked about with keyword search, retargeting, site retargeting, contextual, the addressable geofencing. So we have all of those layers of here's how we're targeting the people, and now we're able to serve them the video on all of these different channels that they're on all the time. And then you have OTT. So OTT it's basically the new form of TV. Before, if you were trying to sell trucks and you assume that, okay, the guys or the people that are buying them are guys that are 25 to 54, they're watching football, so we're gonna buy commercials on, you know, the NFL games. Well, now you don't really have to guess about it. You don't have to say, okay, I'm gonna target the NFL because that's who I'm trying to reach. Now you have all those methods we talked about of, well, I know they searched for it on their phone and their phone is connected to their Wi-Fi network, which is connected to their smart TV. So now whenever they're watching any show, I'm able to target them and give them that truck commercial because I know they've actively searched for it. It doesn't matter if it was a guy 25 to 54, if it was a woman 25 to 54, it doesn't matter if they're watching a football game, it doesn't matter if they're watching, you know, home and garden, any of that stuff, because you're targeting the user now and you have that ability to really nail down on here is somebody who's qualified and it doesn't matter what they're watching. So it's kind of like having prime time all the time because you don't have to guess about it and say there's going to be this many people watching it. You're guaranteed that that is going to show that many times to that many different people. And then you have tons of different networks that it shows up on. So, you know, we have hundreds of different networks. Pluto has become one of the most popular ones. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that, but we're seeing that Hulu has typically about 27 million active users a month. Pluto is right up there now at about 25 million. And if you guys don't have it, I'd download it. It's pretty cool. You have, you know, hundreds of different channels. It's basically like having cable for free, tons of movies to stream, everything like that. And then you have the ones that people are more familiar with. You have, you know, the different sports networks. Each individual network now has their own app, whether it's MTV, Weather Channel, Travel Channel, all of those different things. So social has become a very big one as well, especially with all the COVID and quarantine stuff. We've seen growth from OTT. Obviously, a lot more people are streaming from home. A lot more people are cutting their cable. But social ads, same thing. A lot more people, again, are scrolling through their phones and trying to make decisions that way. Everybody is addicted to it. If you pull up your phone now and your Facebook and you scroll to the second or third thing, it probably says sponsored there. So you're probably scrolling by Facebook ads nonstop without even realizing that it is. Or even more so, you're talking about something and then 5 minutes later, you feel like it pops up on your phone through your social ads. So the targetability there is great. You're able, you know, you give Facebook all of this information and then it's still connected when you're doing all of these different searches. So Facebook has so much information, which, you know, you're able to use to your advantage now and target the people that you're actually trying to reach. So you can also do social with a company that has more recognition. So in this example, you can take QIK's brand, it's a trusted brand, and you can actually pair your business with it and serve ads to different people of your choosing. So the way I explain this is, you know, if you see ads for something and it looks like a good product and, you know, all this stuff, and you're like, okay, I think I might buy this. You know, the ads help and it's probably going to convince you to do that, but how much easier and how much more so would it be that you trust that brand if it's coming from somebody you know? So if Roxanne is talking about it and you trust her and you know her, and then you see that she's actually promoting this product, then you're like, okay, well, now I know that it's good because somebody who I trust, somebody who I'm familiar with and I know has said that this is a good, you know, restaurant to go to, this is a good product to try. It's very similar to with the radio endorsements. It's a great digital play on that. It's a great extension of your radio endorsements. And then, of course, Sharon briefly touched on all of our different stations, and you know, each one of those have a website. So again, this is another great extension of all of our station sites, to where if you're running stuff on air, you have all the people who are constantly going to our website for updates and figuring out more information, reading the news articles, so you can actually serve them different banner ads and video ads throughout that site. And then SEM is what we'll end with. So SEM, you might have heard as search engine marketing, pay-per-click, paid search. There's tons of different names for it. Basically, it's if people go into Google, they search for you, it's the top things that come up. you know, you've probably heard the joke a million times that if you want to bury something, then just put it on the second page of Google and nobody will ever find it. So SEM is the solution to that, making sure that you're always showing up on the first page. You know, it gives you relevance, it gives people a little bit more trust in your website, knowing that it's on the first page there, then rather than having to dig through multiple pages of Google to go ahead and find your product or your location or whatever it is. And then this kind of circles back to the first point we made. You know, all this stuff is great, but if you don't have analytics set up and you don't have a great way of looking at the results and optimizing them, then you're really doing yourself a disservice. So making sure that you have good reporting is very important. Impressions and clicks and click-through rate are amazing and it's great, but it doesn't tell the full story. So, you know, for all of our campaigns, we help set up a dashboard that you're able to look at all times, but it's good for peace of mind, see how your campaign's performing. You can see how it's doing by day, what actions people are taking once they get to your website. And again, we discussed like the month over the month, year over year, all of those different things. So instead of just guessing and just doing the same thing over and over, you're actually able to make informed decisions on your next move. So you can make optimizations just for the sake of it, or you can make informed optimizations. Okay. And that is all I had. Does anybody have any questions? Sharon, I think you're on mute still too.
Sorry, it was taking me a few minutes to get to my mic. Thank you, Ollie. As always, that's amazing. I know it's a lot to cover in a short period of time. And, you know, we can always come back and do another seminar for you guys if there's interest in that, because we can get more granular and dig into these, both Zoom and all the digital products much more. I know there was a question someone was asking about for Roxanne, what type of mic you recommend? Are you muted, Rox?
So I do have, I'm pulling it out here, I'll show you how simple it is. It's Realtek. It's Realtek, and I can give you, Sharon, I'll send you the exact name of it and a link where to find it online to share with everyone, because yeah, it's great. And I hope I sound good because it's very, very echoey. It's very echoey in here today. So
yeah,
Realtek.
You're in a bathroom and you sound fantastic.
And the webcam? Do you recommend a webcam?
I do, just for the flexibility. It's too difficult to get your computer in places. You know, you can get your web camera and put it against, it's so tiny, you can tape it to the wall if you want to. You can get it wherever you need it to be, whereas your computer is not as mobile.
Do you recommend a specific one just like the microphone?
Yes, the TED Gem, and I've got the ones that I use, so I can send that sheet. I've got the Light Kit, TED Gem. Also, if you're ever worried about your internet connection, something you can get to plug into your computer to plug into your Wi-Fi, and you'll never dip out. If you're doing like a big presentation with a lot of data, that's something good to have too. So I've got a list of different things that can help you to go in your toolkit.